Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Nishit Kumar and with me is R.S. Raghu with the evening news. The headlines. Lok Sabha takes up price rise issue. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says India remains fastest growing economy in assessment of global agencies and there is no question of the country getting into recession. Rajya Sabha adjourned for the day following opposition protests over several issues. Parliament passes Weapon of Mass Destruction and their Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022 and Indian Antarctic Bill 2022. 5,068 foreign companies registered in the country till 27th of last month, says the government. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari inaugurates and lays foundation stone of 6 national highway projects in Madhya Pradesh. President of Maldives Ibrahim Mohammed Soli arrives in New Delhi on a 4-day visit to India. National Testing Agency today releases admit cards for Common University Entrance Test undergraduate for Phase 2 exam scheduled on the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th and 20th of August. In Madhya Pradesh, 8 killed, several injured in fire at a private hospital in Jabalpur. In Commonwealth Games, India assured of the first ever medal in lawn bowls event as women's team enters the final, and also in judo, Sushila Devi Likmabom enters the final in 48 kg category. And in cricket, the second T20 international match between India and the West Indies to be played at Warner Park tonight. And now the news in detail. In Lok Sabha, the discussion on price rise issue is underway. Replying to the discussion, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said India remains the fastest growing economy in assessment of global agencies and there is no question of the country going into stagflation or recession.
There is no question of India getting into recession or stagflation. Please be assured there is no question of getting into either a stagflation or, like the US, they may say technical recession, whatever. A Bloomberg survey, which was done by economists, has said that zero probability of India slipping into recession. So it's not just me saying.
Rajya Sabha today witnessed protests by the opposition members over various issues, including alleged misuse of the Enforcement Directorate and price rise. When the House met after the second adjournment at 2 p.m., members from the Congress, Shiv Sena, TMC, AAP, DMK, Left and others again trooped into the well, raising slogans against the government. Leader of the House, Piyush Goyal, accused the opposition of running away from the discussion on price rise. He said the government has taken a number of steps to contain the inflation. Leader of the opposition, Mallikarjun Kharge, raised the issue of remarks made by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Mr. Goyal on Congress President Sonia Gandhi last week in the House. Amidst opposition members' protests, the House passed the Weapon of Mass Destruction and the Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022 and the Indian Antarctic Bill 2022 with voice vote. After the passage of the bills, the House was adjourned for the day. Parliament has passed the Weapon of Mass Destruction and the Delivery System Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022 with the Rajya Sabha approving it today amid the din.
The government today said 5,068 foreign companies are registered in the country till the 27th of last month. In a written reply in Lok Sabha, Minister of State for Corporate Affairs Rao Inderjeet Singh said foreign companies are registered by Registrar of Companies, Delhi, after approval is given by the Reserve Bank of India. He said out of these companies, 1,777 foreign companies have closed their place of business in India. The government has planned to develop and operationalize 220 airports, heliports and water aerodromes in the next 5 years. In a written reply to question in Rajya Sabha, Union Minister for Civil Aviation Jyotiraditya Scindia informed that till 2014 there were 74 airports with scheduled operations in the country, and at present the number of operational airports are 141, including 8 heliports and 2 water aerodromes.
1,387 students had availed education loan to study in Ukraine till the 30th of June this year. This information was given by the Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Bhagwat Karad, in a written reply in the Lok Sabha today. He said according to Indian Banks Association, IBA, over 133 crore rupees is outstanding balance on these students. Dr. Karad said the centre had asked the IBA to assess the impact of the conflict on outstanding education loans of the returnee students and to initiate stakeholder consultations in this regard. The minister said in this regard, IBA has informed that banks are inclined to providing extended moratorium period as per the terms of the loan contract and educational scheme under which the loan has been sanctioned. The government has said that private sectors can use drones for delivery purposes in accordance with the Drone Rules 2021. These sectors include agriculture, vaccine delivery, surveillance, search and rescue, transportation, mapping, defence and law enforcement. Minister of State for Civil Aviation, V.K. Singh, informed this in a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today. He said a provisional list of 23 production-linked incentive PLI beneficiaries were released on the 6th of last month.
Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways Shri Nitin Gadkari today inaugurated and laid foundation stone of 6 national highway projects of 119 kilometers worth 2,300 crore rupees in Indore, Madhya Pradesh. Speaking on the occasion, Shri Gadkari informed that with the projects being launched for better connectivity in Indore will make the path of progress easier in the state. He said the problem of jam on Rao Circle will end and there will be ease in the traffic. With easy connectivity from Indore, artisans, students and businessmen of nearby areas will get better opportunities. He added the connectivity of the villages of Indore-Harda section with Indore will be better. The development of Dhar-Pithampur industrial corridor will create new employment opportunities. Regarding use of cheap fuel, the minister said, we have to adopt green hydrogen, ethanol, bio-CNG in place of expensive fuels like petrol and diesel. Only then the smooth implementation of future plans will be possible. Niti Aayog today called for applications for 2 of its leading programs to expand the current ecosystem of incubators and to provide them with access to global benchmarks and best practices. The programs are Atal Incubation Centers AIC and Atal Community Innovation Centers ACIC. Briefing newsmen in New Delhi, Niti Aayog Chief Executive Officer CEO Parmeshwaran Iyer highlighted that both the programs are under the Atal Innovation Mission. He said these programs envision to create and support the innovation ecosystem in the country by establishing world-class institutions. He said the initiatives will help budding entrepreneurs of the country. Niti Aayog CEO said the AIC and ACIC programs will play a pivotal role in enriching the startup and entrepreneurship ecosystem of India and echo the anthem of Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Over 5 crore 83 lakh income tax returns ITRs have been filed till the 31st of July, the last day. The Revenue Department said that a record of over 72 lakh 42,000 ITRs were filed on a single day yesterday. The department expressed gratitude to taxpayers and tax professionals for making compliances in time, leading to a surge in filing of ITRs, resulting in a new record. The centre has formed a task force in the wake of monkeypox cases in India to monitor and provide guidance to the government on the expansion of diagnostic facilities and to explore vaccination for the infection in the country. The decision was taken at a meeting yesterday attended by the Cabinet Secretary, Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan, Additional Secretary, the PMO and other senior officials. India has reported 4 monkeypox cases so far, 3 in Kerala and 1 in Delhi. Talking to AIR News, Member Health in Niti Aayog Dr. V.K. Paul said the government has set up a network of 15 ICMR laboratories to deal with the problem of monkeypox.
जब से मंकी पॉक्स के ये केसेस आने शुरू हुए, थोड़ा दिखना शुरू हुआ भारत के देशों में कुछ हफ्तों से, भारत सरकार ने पूरी तैयारी करा है और इसके साथ साथ एक लेबोरेटरीज का नेटवर्क डायग्नोसिस के लिए कर दिया गया है। ICMR की 15 लेबोरेटरी वो फंक्शनल है उसमें डायग्नोसिस हो रहा है, वो लेबोरेटरीज देश के 7 हिस्सों में है और रिएजेंट्स की कोई कमी नहीं है और जैसे जैसे जरूरत पड़ेगी और बढ़ोतरी करी जाएगी। जो हमारा नॉर्मल सर्वेलेंस का सिस्टम है, जो IDSP का डिजीज सर्वेलेंस सिस्टम है, उसको पूरा चौकन्ना कर दिया गया और वो सारे देश में वो व्याप्त है कि ऐसे ही बीमारी के लक्षण वाले व्यक्ति अगर दिखाई देते हैं तो उनको फिर वो जैसे आगे प्रक्रिया उनके कॉन्टैक्ट्स की क्या करना है, कैसे उसको आगे बढ़ाना है जो काम है। इसी प्रकार जो इंटरनेशनल ट्रैवलर्स हैं उनके ऊपर भी नजर रखी जा रही है।
Over 204 crore 34 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The health minister said over 8 lakh 34,000 doses were administered yesterday. The recovery rate is currently at 98.48%.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Lok Sabha takes up price rise issue. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says India remains fastest growing economy in assessment of global agencies and there is no question of the country getting into recession. Rajya Sabha adjourned for the day following opposition protests over several issues. Parliament passes Weapon of Mass Destruction and Their Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022 and Indian Antarctic Bill 2022. 5,068 foreign companies registered in the country till 27th of last month, says government. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari inaugurates and lays foundation stone of 6 national highway projects in Madhya Pradesh. President of Maldives Ibrahim Mohammed Soli arrives in New Delhi on 4-day visit to India. National Testing Agency today releases admit cards for Common University Entrance Test undergraduate for Phase 2 exams scheduled on 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th and 20th of August. In Madhya Pradesh, 8 killed, several injured in fire at private hospital in Jabalpur. In Commonwealth Games, India assured a first ever medal in lawn bowls event as women's team enters final. Also in Judo, Sushila Devi Ligmabam enters the final in 48 kg category. And in cricket, second T20 international match between India and West Indies to be played at Warner Park tonight. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर
8700014242।
कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स की तैयारी कर रहे स्टूडेंट्स के लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो लाया है अभ्यास, एक ऐसा प्रोग्राम जहां आपकी जिज्ञासा को लगेगा विराम, क्योंकि व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 या फिर abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर भेजे। आपके सवालों के जवाब हमारे एक्सपर्ट शनिवार रात 9:30 बजे देते हैं। इस बार का विषय है पॉलिटिकल साइंस, तो आप रेडी हो जाएं, अपने सवालों के साथ रवाना कर दें हमें जल्द से जल्द। अंतिम तारीख 3 अगस्त। आपका अभ्यास, हमारा प्रयास।
Welcome back. You are tuned to the evening news on All India Radio. And now here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today. First from the Lok Sabha, the writer is Achint Bora of the PTI. The Lok Sabha today discussed the price rise issue. Replying to the discussion, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said India remains the fastest growing economy in assessment of global agencies and there is no question of the country getting into stagflation or recession. Sitharaman said gross NPAs of the banks that was at 6-year low of 5.9% and India's debt to GDP ratio was at 56.21% in 2021-22, which is much lower than many nations. Citing GST and macro data, Sitharaman said Indian economy getting more robust and efforts are being made to bring down the retail inflation below 7%. The finance minister said the global supply chain was badly disrupted due to COVID-19 and despite that, India could keep the inflation below 7%. Referring to previous UPA rule, she said there were more than 9% inflation for 22 months during the UPA government. During that time, inflation was in double digits for 9 times, she said. Earlier, participating in the discussion, Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary asked whether the country is heading towards stagflation, as he claimed the country's economy is very precarious. He quoted government figures to refute BJP member Jayant Sinha's claim about the improvement of healthcare in the country. Anemia in children and women has increased significantly between 2015 and 16 and 2019-21. Over 67% children in the country are anemic, Chaudhary claimed. Initiating the discussion, Manish Tiwari of the Congress slammed the demonetization of banknotes in 2016 and implementation of the Goods and Services Tax GST regime. Listing the high rate of unemployment, bad debts of the MSME sector, he claimed crores of people have lost jobs in the country. Participating in the debate, Nishikant Dubey of the BJP defended the NDA government's actions and alleged that wrong steps were taken by the previous governments that include issuing oil bonds, distribution of freebies, loan waiver, high NPAs of the banks, among others. Dubey compared India's rising GDP to other top economies like the US and China. He said black money was the scourge which BJP is now cleaning up from the Indian economy. Dubey said the reason for high inflation, high gas price were the previous government's freebies, irresponsible currency printing and excessive subsidies. Other members who participated in the discussion include Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar of the Trinamool Congress, Sangeeta Azad of the BSP, Nama Nageshwara Rao of the TRS, Kanimori of the DMK, Kaushalendra Kumar of JDU, Pinaki Mishra of the BJD, Bharat Ram Marjani of the YSRCP, Supriya Sule of the NCP, Kalyan Banerjee of the TMC, Jaydev Gala of the TDP, Asaduddin Owaisi of the AIMIM, Hanuman Beniwal of the RLP, N.K. Premachandran of the RSP, Geeta Vishwanathan of the YSR Congress. Earlier in the morning, Congress members staged protests demanding withdrawal of the suspension of the 4 MPs. When the House reassembled at 2 p.m., Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla revoked the suspension when Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary said it was not the intention of the opposition to hurt the chair. Birla said he was hurt by the incidents that took place in the House over the past 2 weeks and urged members to work towards upholding the dignity of the House. The 4 Congress MPs, Manikam Tagore, Ramya Haridas, T.N. Prathapan and S. Jyotimani were suspended for the rest of the session for protests and carrying placards inside the House. Birla also warned the members that he will take stringent action against those who violated the rules of procedure that bars members from bringing any exhibits in the House. There should be consensus that members do not get placards in the House. After the revocation of suspension, the House took up discussion on the price rise. Earlier, the Central Universities Amendment Bill, which seeks to convert the National Rail and Transportation Universities, which is a deemed to be university, into Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, an autonomous central university, was introduced in the Lok Sabha. The bill, introduced by the Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, also seeks to expand the scope of the university from beyond the railways to cover the entire transport sector to support the ambitious growth and modernization in the field. The Central Universities Amendment Bill 2022 seeks to amend the Central Universities Act 2009 inter alia to provide for the establishment of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya as a body corporate under the said Act.
And now a review of proceedings in Rajya Sabha. The writer is Rajesh Ahuja of UNI. Rajya Sabha today passed 2 bills, the Weapons of Mass Destruction and Their Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022 and the Indian Antarctic Bill 2022. The Weapons of Mass Destruction and Their Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022 amends the Weapons of Mass Destruction and Their Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Act 2005, which prohibits unlawful activities such as manufacturing, transport or transfer related to weapons of mass destruction and their means of delivery. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar moved the motion for the passage of the bill. It was later passed by a voice vote. It has already been passed by Lok Sabha. The opposition protested against the bill being passed when the House was not in order. Leader of opposition Mallikarjun Kharge alleged that the bill was passed when the House was not in order. Responding to him, Leader of the House and Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal said that the opposition made baseless allegations against the chair. He said that a discussion on price rise will be held tomorrow as demanded by the opposition. After the passage of the Weapons of Mass Destruction and Their Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022, the chair called for taking up the Indian Antarctic Bill 2022. The bill aims at regulating visits and activities to Antarctica and set ground rules for potential disputes that may arise among those present on the continent. Under the provisions of the bill, private hours and expeditions to Antarctica would be prohibited without a permit or a written authorization by a member country. Union Minister Jitendra Singh moved the bill for consideration of the House. Speaking on the bill, Sujit Kumar of the BJD, welcoming the bill, said it would encourage scientific research in the country. Narayan Reddy Sirgapur of YSR Congress Party in his maiden speech said it is a welcome bill as it encourages scientific research in the country. He said it is a forward bill and presents India as an environmentally conscious country. After the discussion, Minister for Science and Technology Jitendra Kumar moved a motion for the passage of the bill. Simultaneously, John Brittas of the CPI moved a motion for the referring the bill to a select committee of the Rajya Sabha. He called for a division on his motion. However, the division could not be taken up due to lack of order in the House. Amid sloganeering by the opposition, the bill was passed by a voice vote after rejecting opposition amendments. After the passage of the bill, the chair adjourned the House for the day. Earlier, members of the Shiv Sena protested at the arrest of party leader Sanjay Raut by Enforcement Directorate in connection with the land scam. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu said that the matter being raised by members had nothing to do with the House and appealed them to go back to their seats. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu urged opposition to allow the House to proceed. When they continued with the uproar, the chairman adjourned the House till 12 noon. When the House reassembled at 12 noon, the opposition members continued with the protests and demanded discussions on various issues like price rise, Gujarat Hooch tragedy and Agnipath scheme. The Vice Chairman, Bhubaneswar Kalita, proceeded with the question hour. The proceeding continued amid uproar by opposition. As the opposition continued with their uproar, the chair adjourned the House till 2 p.m. When the House reassembled at 2 p.m., Mr. Kalita took up the Weapons of Mass Destruction and the Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022 and the Indian Antarctic Bill 2022, which were passed. This is the third week in succession during the monsoon session that the opposition has been raising protests in the House on the issues of price rise, Agnipath scheme and various other issues. That's all in Parliament Review.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today called upon the youth to regularly devote some time to help the needy and underprivileged sections in society. He said nothing gives greater satisfaction and joy than extending a helping hand to those in distress. Mr. Naidu said this while inaugurating the Seva Samstha building for Rashtriya Seva Samiti, a non-profit social service organization's regional center in New Delhi. President of Maldives, Ibrahim Mohammed Soli, arrived in New Delhi today on a 4-day visit to India. He was received by Union Minister Dr. Sanjeev Balyan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold talks with Mr. Soli tomorrow. Several agreements are expected to be signed after the talks. Mr. Soli is also scheduled to meet President Draupadi Murmu at Rashtrapati Bhavan tomorrow. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called on the Maldivian President this evening. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said India's Neighbourhood First and Maldives' India First policies are complementary. He added that these policies take the special partnership between India and Maldives forward. Mr. Soli is also scheduled to visit Mumbai on Wednesday.
Maldives is India's key neighbor in the Indian Ocean region and occupies a special place in India's Neighbourhood First policy. India was among the first to recognize Maldives after its independence in 1965 and to establish diplomatic relations with the country. In recent years, the partnership has witnessed rapid growth in all areas of cooperation. President Soli's visit will provide an opportunity for the two leaders to review the progress made in this wide-ranging partnership and lend further momentum to it. Anupam Mishra, AI News, Delhi.
The Ministry of Culture is organizing Tiranga Utsav, an evening filled with cultural and musical performances to celebrate contributions of Pingali Venkaiah to the nation on the occasion of his 146th birth anniversary in New Delhi tomorrow. Union Home Minister Amit Shah will participate in Tiranga Utsav. The event will include the release of a commemorative postal stamp in honor of Pingali Venkaiah for his invaluable contribution to the country, followed by the felicitation of his family. The Tiranga Utsav will also witness the grand launch of the Har Ghar Tiranga anthem and video. The musical evening will see live performances by maestros such as Kailash Kher and Kailasa, Harshdeep Kaur and Dr. Ragini Makkar. Pingali Venkaiah, a freedom fighter and the designer of India's national flag, was a follower of Gandhian principles, and it was upon the request of Mahatma Gandhi that he designed the Indian national flag with saffron, white and green colors with Chakra in the middle. The cultural evening shall mark a historic day in the celebration of India's 75th year of independence as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and will be a great tribute to one of the nation's most important gems, Pingali Venkaiah. Minister of State for Culture Meenakshi Lekhi today flagged off 40 LED vans in New Delhi to give impetus to Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. On the occasion, Ms. Lekhi motivated the public to take active part in the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign by hoisting flags at their homes from the 13th to 15th August. She said video vans have been flagged off to make people aware about the campaign launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. She urged the people to take part in the campaign enthusiastically, to pay respect to freedom fighters, strengthen patriotism and ensure public participation of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
अब हर घर की छत पर शान से फहरेगा तिरंगा, गुनगुनाए जाएंगे नव विकास के गीत, आन बान शान का प्रतीक राष्ट्रध्वज तिरंगा। आइए आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर इस स्वाधीनता दिवस हर घर फहराते हैं तिरंगा और लेते हैं भव्य और सशक्त भारत के निर्माण का संकल्प।
आइए हर घर फहराएं तिरंगा।
The National Testing Agency today released the admit cards for the Common University Entrance Test Undergraduate CUET UG 2022 for Phase 2 candidates. Registered candidates can now download their hall tickets from the official CUET UG website by logging in through their registered credentials. The website is cuet.samarth.ac.in. The Phase 1 exams were conducted in July, and the second phase exams are scheduled to take place on the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th and 20th of August. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee will reshuffle her cabinet on Wednesday, bringing in 4 to 5 new faces to replace senior-most Minister Partha Chatterjee last week following his arrest in a cash for jobs scam.
In Madhya Pradesh, at least 8 persons were killed in a massive fire at a private hospital in Jabalpur city. The fire occurred at New Life Multi-Speciality Hospital near Damo Naka area of Jabalpur in the afternoon. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has announced a compensation of 5 lakh rupees to the families of the deceased. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today expressed anguish at the loss of life due to a fire at a hospital in Jabalpur of Madhya Pradesh.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said India's performance at the Cadet Under-17 World Wrestling Championship has been the best ever. And in Commonwealth Games, Indian women assured at least 2 silver medals for India today. In lawn bowls, women's team scripted history by entering the finals of the Force event for the first time ever, confirming at least a silver medal for the country. The team of Lovely Chaube, Pinky, Nayan Moni Saikia and Rupa Rani defeated New Zealand by a margin of 16-13 in the semi-finals today. In the women's judo, Sushila Devi Likmabam entered the final in 48 kg category. She defeated Malawi's Harriet Boniface 10-0. She is now assured of at least a silver medal. In men's judo, Vijay Singh Yadav and Jasleen Singh will play for the bronze medal today in the respective categories. They both lost their semi-final matches today. In men's boxing, Amit Pangal stormed into the quarter-final of 51 kg category. He defeated Namri Berry of Vanuatu by a 5-0 unanimous decision. Hussam Uddin Mohammed entered the quarter-final in the 57 kg category. He defeated Mohammad Salim Hussain of Bangladesh 5-0. Later, Ashish Kumar will appear in the round of 16 in 75 to 80 kg category. However, there is some disappointment for India in the weightlifting today as Ajay Singh finished 4th after missing his final clean and jerk in the men's 81 kg category. Later, Harjinder Singh will compete in women's 71 kg category tonight. In table tennis, men's team will play in the semi-final match with Nigeria tonight. And India have so far won 6 medals, 3 gold, 2 silver and 1 bronze medal. And in cricket, India will take on the West Indies in the second T20 international match at the Warner Park in Bassett Terrace and Kitts tonight. The match will start at 10 p.m. IST. India currently lead the 5-match series by a margin 1-0. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Lok Sabha takes up price rise issue. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says India remains the fastest growing economy in assessment of global agencies and there is no question of the country getting into recession. Parliament passes Weapon of Mass Destruction and the Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022 and Indian Antarctic Bill 2022. 5,068 foreign companies registered in the country till 27th of last month, says the government. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari inaugurates and lays foundation stone of 6 national highway projects in Madhya Pradesh. President of Maldives Ibrahim Mohammed Soli arrives in New Delhi on a 4-day visit to India. National Testing Agency today releases admit card for Common University Entrance Test undergraduate for Phase 2 exams. Schedule on 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th and 20th of August. In Commonwealth Games, India assured of the first ever medal in lawn bowls event as women's team sent to final. Also in judo, Sushila Devi Limbakam enters the final in 48 kg category. And in cricket, the second T20 international match between India and West Indies to be played at the Warner Park tonight. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.